acclaimed by her alien diplomats, a spicy sci-fi romance by Marten. Welcome to a steamy adventure where linguistics meets love among the stars. Get ready for an interstellar romance, awkward encounters, and diplomatic relations that are anything but boring.
"Come on, you stupid patterns. Make sense," I muttered, squinting at my screen for the 1,000th time that night. 3 months of analyzing alien transmissions, and all I had to show for it was an unhealthy caffeine addiction and a tendency to talk to my computer. The lab was empty, except for me. Typical for 2 a.m. on a Friday. My colleagues had social lives. I had algorithms and a cat named Shakespeare who was probably destroying my apartment in revenge for another late night. The transmission patterns pulsed across my screen, almost hypnotic in their rhythm. Something about them seemed different tonight. More deliberate. I adjusted my thick-rimmed glasses, a habit that usually preceded a breakthrough or a mental breakdown.
"Dr. Shi?"
Security guard Mike's voice crackled over the intercom, making me jump and knock over my cold coffee.
"You're still here?"
"Just making scientific history or having a mental breakdown. I'll let you know which tomorrow." I started dabbing at the coffee stain with my sleeve, somehow making it worse. Then I saw it. The pattern wasn't random. It was a response to my own transmissions. My heart started racing as I cross-referenced the data. Oh my God! Oh my God! I reached for my phone to call my supervisor, promptly knocked it off the desk, and watched helplessly as it skittered under a filing cabinet, because of course it did. Story of my life. That's when the lab went dark. "Mike," I called out, "if this is about me tripping the circuit breaker again, I swear I didn't plug in 3 coffee makers this time." No response, just an odd humming that made my teeth vibrate. The transmission patterns on my screen began pulsing faster, brighter, almost like they were reaching out. Okay, this is fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I backed away from my desk, managing to tangle my feet in my chair and nearly faceplant. Just a normal Friday night having a conversation with alien signals, totally normal. Bright light flooded the lab. My last coherent thought was that Shakespeare was going to be really pissed about missing his midnight snack. When I came to, something was very wrong. For one thing, I was naked. For another, I was strapped to what felt like a metal table. And finally, most concerning of all, I couldn't feel my glasses on my face, which meant I was not only captured, but also blind as a bat.
"The subject is regaining consciousness."
A deep voice said nearby. At least, I think that's what it said. My brain translated it automatically, but the original language felt like it bypassed my ears entirely.
"Excellent. The neural implantation was successful."
Another voice, smoother but no less alien. I tried to move my arms. Nothing. Excuse me? My voice came out embarrassingly squeaky. "I don't mean to be a bother, but I'm having a bit of an HR issue with this whole situation. Also, has anyone seen my glasses? I can't see anything beyond vague, blurry shapes, which is really not helping my anxiety levels right now." A deep chuckle resonated through the room.
"Your visual impairment has been corrected by the neural implant, Dr. Shi. Try opening your eyes fully."
Oh! I blinked, and the world came into sharp focus. Too sharp. I could see details I'd never noticed with my glasses, like the subtle patterns swirling across the metallic walls. That's convenient, though I feel I should point out that performing unauthorized ocular surgery might be a bit of a legal gray area. Then I got my first clear look at my captors and momentarily forgot how to breathe. 2 aliens stood beside my examination table, both easily 7 feet tall. One had copper skin with tribal markings that seemed to move like liquid metal. The other looked like living mercury, his silver skin rippling in the light.
I am Vorkath.
The copper-skinned one said.
And this is Zextal. We've been monitoring your work on our transmissions.
Really? I perked up despite my predicament. Did you get my message about peaceful cultural exchange? I was worried the binary code might have been too simplistic, but I figured starting with mathematical constants would... I stopped myself. Sorry, I'm babbling. I tend to do that when I'm nervous. Or excited. Or naked and strapped to an alien examination table.
The neural enhancer will help with your social anxiety as well.
Zextal said, his silver lips curving into what might have been a smile.
Along with other improvements.
That's thoughtful. Terrifying but thoughtful. I tried to shift position and felt something warm pulse at the base of my skull. Though I feel I should mention that performing unauthorized personality adjustments is probably an even bigger legal gray area than the eye surgery. Vorkath moved closer, and my newly enhanced vision caught every detail of his impressive physique.
The enhancements were necessary for your new role. You've been chosen as our cultural liaison.
Me? I squeaked. I mean, I'm flattered, but my idea of successful social interaction is when I remember to say goodbye before leaving a room. Last week, I walked into a door while waving at someone who was actually waving at the person behind me.
The neural enhancer will help.
Zextal repeated, moving to my other side. His silver fingers brushed my arm, and electricity seemed to dance across my skin.
Though some physical responses may be intensified.
Oh, my voice came out breathy as heat pooled low in my belly. When you say intensified. Vorkath's hand found my thigh, and coherent thought became significantly more challenging.
Perhaps a practical demonstration is in order?
Wait, I managed to say, even as my body arched into his touch. Don't you think we should discuss the philosophical implications of neural enhancement first? Or maybe review some basic diplomatic protocols? Or, oh, God. His fingers had found a particularly sensitive spot. Never mind. Practical demonstration it is. Their answering smiles made me shiver. But this time, it wasn't entirely from fear. The restraints released with a soft hiss, but before I could move, Vorkath's strong hands gripped my waist. Every point of contact sent sparks of pleasure racing through my nervous system. So, I gasped, as Zextal's silver fingers traced patterns down my arm. Is this standard diplomatic protocol? Because I definitely missed this chapter in my international relations textbook.
You're thinking too linearly.
Vorkath rumbled against my neck.
Galactic diplomacy requires a more hands-on approach.
Hands-on. Right. Very, oh. I arched as Zextal's cool touch contrasted with Vorkath's heat. Very thorough, though I should probably mention, I once tried speed dating and ended up discussing quantum mechanics for 20 minutes with the waitress instead.
The neural enhancer will help you focus.
Zextal murmured, his silver skin rippling against mine in ways that made my toes curl.
Though your scientific mind is one reason we chose you.
Really? I perked up, then immediately gasped as Vorkath's mouth found my breast. Most people find my technical rambling annoying.
We find it charming.
Vorkath said between kisses that were short-circuiting my brain.
your passion for understanding, your dedication to communication.
Speaking of communication, I managed, as their touches grew bolder, should we establish some sort of diplomatic safe word? Or maybe... my words dissolved into a moan as Zextal's fingers found my center. Never mind, words are overrated. They worked in perfect synchronization as if they could read each other's minds. Or maybe they could read mine, because every touch, every kiss seemed to anticipate my needs before I knew them myself.
The neural enhancer allows us to share sensation.
Zextal explained, making me wonder if mind reading was actually part of the package.
We feel what you feel.
That's fascinating from a neurological perspective, I started to say, but Vorkath chose that moment to slide his thick fingers inside me, and all scientific curiosity fled my mind.
Less analysis.
He growled, his golden eyes glowing brighter.
More feeling.
For once in my life, I didn't feel the need to overthink things. My enhanced nervous system was drowning in sensation, every touch magnified to impossible levels of pleasure.
Should we show her the full benefits of galactic cooperation?
Zextal asked, his voice rough with need. Vorkath's answering smile was predatory.
I believe she's ready for a more thorough briefing.
Just to be clear, I gasped as they positioned themselves around me, this isn't going to show up in my performance review, right? Because my last job evaluation already had some pretty awkward moments, and words failed me as they began their thorough briefing. As it turned out, some forms of communication didn't need translation at all. Hours later, I sat in what they called the diplomatic quarters, wrapped in a robe that seemed to be made of living silk. My body hummed pleasantly with aftershocks, and my mind was still trying to process everything that had happened.
You're overthinking again.
Vorkath rumbled from beside me, his tribal markings glowing softly in the dim light. I'm a scientist. Overthinking is my default setting. I fidgeted with the robe's sleeve, watching it change colors. Though I have to admit, this beats my Friday night plans of instant ramen and arguing with my cat about his food schedule. A holographic display materialized in front of us, showing what appeared to be urgent communication from the Galactic Council. My enhanced brain translated the flowing symbols automatically.
We have a situation.
Zextal said, his silver form tensing.
The Drachnid delegation is threatening to withdraw from the peace talks. They claim our translation of their demands was deliberately misleading.
Let me see. I leaned forward, studying the original transmission. Oh, see? This glyph sequence? It's not actually a demand, it's a cultural reference. They're using an idiomatic expression that roughly translates to seeking harmony through contrast. We were taking it too literally. Both aliens stared at me.
You can understand Drachnid cultural nuance?
Vorkath asked, sounding impressed. Well, their language structure is fascinating. It's based on musical harmonics, similar to some earth tonal languages, but with additional layers of meaning derived from... I caught myself. Sorry. Rambling again.
No.
Zextal interrupted, his eyes gleaming.
Continue. This could save the peace talks.
For the next hour, I broke down the Drachnid communication patterns, explaining the subtle cultural references and harmonic undertones that had been lost in translation. My tendency to hyper-focus actually came in handy for once.
This is why we chose you.
Vorkath said when I finally finished.
Your mind sees patterns others miss.
Though your other qualities are equally appealing.
Zextal added, his hand sliding up my thigh. Focus, boys, I managed to say, though my body was already responding to his touch. Galactic peace first, interspecies relations second. They laughed, but their expressions turned serious as another holographic message appeared.
The Drachnids want to meet you.
Vorkath said.
To verify your translation personally.
Me? I squeaked. I once tried to shake hands with a cardboard cutout at a conference. Maybe we should... Oh. Zextel's fingers had found a particularly sensitive spot.
The neural enhancer will help,
He reminded me.
and we'll be right beside you.
Besides,
Vorkath added, pulling me into his lap while Zextal worked my robe open.
perhaps you need another lesson in diplomatic relations first, to boost your confidence.
Well, I gasped as their hands began exploring my enhanced nerve endings. Practice does make perfect. As they proceeded to demonstrate more innovative approaches to international relations, I had to admit, for someone who'd spent most of her life more comfortable with computers than people, I was adapting to this new diplomatic position surprisingly well. Though I really hoped someone was feeding Shakespeare. The Drachnid delegation chamber looked like a cross between a concert hall and a quantum physics lab. Crystalline structures pulsed with harmonic frequencies that I could not only hear, but feel through my neural enhancement.
Remember,
Vorkath murmured, his hand steady on my lower back.
you're here as Earth's first galactic diplomat.
No pressure, I whispered back, just trying not to start an interstellar war while wearing what's basically a mood ring disguised as a dress. The living silk outfit they'd given me kept shifting colors with my emotions, currently a nervous shade of purple. The Drachnids entered, tall, ethereal beings that seemed to be made of living sound waves. My enhanced vision could see the complex patterns of energy flowing through their translucent forms.
You claim to understand our true meaning?
Their words came as both sound and light, creating a symphony of communication. I started to fidget with glasses that weren't there anymore, ended up awkwardly patting my face instead. Smooth. Yes, your language is beautiful. The way you layer meaning through harmonics reminds me of Earth's whale songs, but with additional quantum resonance patterns that... I stopped. Mortified. Sorry, I'm doing that thing where I get overexcited about linguistic patterns and forget about actual diplomacy. But the Drachnids were vibrating with what I realized was their version of pleasure.
You hear the songs within the songs.
Their forms brightened,
Show us.
drawing on whatever confidence the neural enhancer could provide. I began breaking down their original message, explaining the cultural harmonics I'd discovered. My natural tendency to get lost in technical details actually helped as I mapped out the mathematical relationships between their language tones. And see this harmonic progression? I was practically bouncing with excitement. It's not just a diplomatic request. It's a poem about unity emerging from diversity, like a musical fugue where different melodies create something greater than their parts. The Drachnid's energy patterns shifted to a deep resonant gold, a good sign, I hoped. Unless gold meant they were about to declare war. I really should have asked about their color symbolism first.
The Earth speaker understands.
They chimed in harmony.
We will sign the peace accord.
Relief flooded through me, turning my dress a bright, happy blue. Really? I mean, yes, excellent. This is a tremendous step toward galactic harmony, both literally and figuratively, since your language actually uses harmonic progressions to... Vorkath's gentle squeeze on my hip stopped my rambling. Right. Professional. As the Drachnids began the signing ceremony, which involved complex light patterns rather than actual signatures. Zextal leaned close to whisper.
You did well, though your dress has been quite informative about your physical responses to our proximity.
I looked down to see the silk had shifted to a deep, heated red wherever they touched me. Oh, God, I muttered. Please, tell me there's no universal translator for mood silk. Their matching grins told me I wasn't that lucky. Later, back in our quarters, I found myself sandwiched between them again, but this time it was different. This wasn't just about physical diplomatic relations anymore.
Stay with us.
Vorka said, his golden eyes intense.
Be our permanent liaison, our mate.
Earth needs you.
Zextal added, his silver fingers tracing patterns that made me shiver.
But we need you more.
I should have needed time to think, should have weighed the pros and cons, made a spreadsheet comparing Earth's diplomatic corps with galactic service. Instead, I found myself saying, well, I did just prevent an interstellar incident with my tendency to ramble about linguistics, and the neural enhancement means I won't need glasses anymore, which is practical. Plus, Shakespeare will probably forgive me eventually if I arrange for premium cat food delivery. Their laughter cut off my babbling with kisses that promised many more lessons in interstellar relations to come. And as they proceeded to demonstrate exactly why three-way alien diplomatic bonds were superior to Earth's binary system, I had to admit, for a socially awkward linguist who once tried to high-five someone waving at a taxi, I'd somehow landed the perfect job. Even if my dress kept broadcasting exactly how perfect I found it.
Thank you for listening to Claimed by Her Alien Diplomats by Ava Marten. Did you enjoy Sarah's steamy adventure with her alien diplomats? There's more where that came from. Visit reamstories.com/Ava Marten and follow Ava Marten for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes content, character art, bonus scenes, and more spicy sci-fi romances. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for weekly releases of new stories that will take you to the stars and back. Links in the description below. Remember, in space, everyone can hear you steam.